It's The Metal Show with Gully and Joe. Yeah, we've got a different name. We went away for a while. Lots of shit happened. Not to dwell on it, but if you know anyone who's suffering with like mental issues and shit, reach out and talk to them, because talking's helped me, and that's why we're back. So we're doing a review show, and we're going to review an album by the Judas of the Priest. And this was Joe's pick. We're probably going to do some kind of vote. Do you want to do like a vote for the next one? Get people to vote on what we do, or should we just pick one that we really want to do?
I think we should put out the band and then put out a poll. What album would you like?
That works.
I mean, the last couple of weeks, I've been on a massive Overkill and Armoured Saint, and I'm working my way through Overkill's back catalogue.
Yeah.
And Armoured Saint, I've just been dusting off the CDs, and also there's been one or two. I've never actually bought Delirious Nomad and Raising Fear. You could not get hold of that fucking album for love nor money. And do you remember I even said it? Do you remember we interviewed Joey and then we interviewed John, and I said, for fuck's sake, when is this album going to get reissued?
Yeah.
Well, lo and behold, I didn't know about it, didn't see it anywhere, didn't think it, and just on Amazon it popped up, $8.99.
Nice.
Limited reissue edition, whatever the fuck. So yeah, I ordered that. So I got Delirious Nomad, and yeah, off the back of that, I thought, well, and I've got the Nod to the Old School, because that was only $4.99. So I've got that to get free packaging, because if you spend 20 quid, you get free postage.
That works.
So I've basically filled the gaps with Armoured Saint, and I've sort of gone back to the beginning and worked my way through. And oh god, what a fucking underrated, is thrown around so much, but Armoured Saint should have been massive. They really should have been, like,
on point,
bigger than they are now.
On point musically, and they've got some really fucking great songs. I'm with you 100% on that one, definitely.
Especially the first four albums. The first four albums is just amazing. And then they split up. John Bush joined Anthrax. Then in 2000 they got back together and did Revelation. Then John went back to Anthrax and did We Came For You All, Anthrax's best ever album. Yes, I said it. And then Anthrax fucking couldn't make their mind up. They messed around and they got Joey back, and then went, oh, but John's still in the band. And John was like, no, I've not toured with you for 2 years, and I've not even heard.
So fuck off.
Yeah. And it all went fucking wobbly, didn't it? So then he got back and did La Raza. I think that was in 2008, and then they did Win Hands Down a couple of years ago, and that's when we interviewed them all. But yeah, the first one's a bit more metal, and the post reunion or whatever is kind of more rock. But even in their metal days, they were more influenced by Thin Lizzy than they were, say, Iron Maiden, you know? And yeah, Overkill, I've fallen in love with Overkill. I've always liked Overkill, but I didn't love Overkill, but now I do. And the live album they put out earlier, a few months ago, that just made me go, yeah, I've got to go back. So I've basically making my way through Overkill's back catalogue as well. And just like everyone who's been going as long as they have, the first 4 or 5 albums, amazing. It went a bit wobbly in the 90s. It always does. And then they found their feet and started thrashing again. And yeah, everyone knows Overkill's one of the most consistent bands in thrash. And yeah, so I think I'm on an Armoured Saint and Overkill trip at the moment. So I'd like to do one of each and maybe put out a poll. What do you think? Do you want us to do a classic? Do you want us to do an underrated one? What do you think is the one that people kind of overlook with Armoured Saint? Or maybe one of Overkill? Maybe one of their... I think Overkill's later albums, actually, sort of Iron Bound onwards, doesn't really... People kind of forget those albums a little bit. But, yeah, so there's plenty to do. What's that band? Blasphemy?
Yeah.
Do you remember that British death metal band?
Is it Blasphemer or Blasphemy? It's Blasphemer.
No, I think it
is. It?
It's Blasphemer.
Yeah, that's it.
They're recording their second album at the moment, and I said to Maz, yeah, you have to come back on the show and review an album with us. And I said, have you done Exalted yet? No. And I went, what one? Because Exalted did 2 albums. He went, oh, we just do both. So we're going to do when the album's ready to come out, he's going to come on and we're going to do a double whammy, that show.
We've got as well, Steve from The King is Blind did give us an album he wants to do on the show, and I've still got said album.
Is that Amorphis, The Tale of 1,000 Lakes or something? Yeah,
there's that. And I've been listening to, I Mr. Mainstream. I don't know if people have gathered that from the old shows, but I picked up the reissue of Appetite for Destruction, the 2 CD one, and I'm never normally sucked into this shit, but it's got some good stuff on it. Basically, they've got rid of Lies and stuck all the tracks on there, more or less. And there's a couple of new ones and a few live tracks. And it was only like 14 quid. So, and I'm quite pleased with it because it's got all the artwork. Because over in the UK, they banned the copy where the robot's raping the woman. Or the big fucking toothy, knifey bastard.
With the big, massive boob.
Yeah, with the titty hanging out. And it's on...
That was a lovely boob.
It was a very nice drawn titty. The attention to titty detail on that particular titty was amazing. But that's a fucking one I want to do, but that can wait because Guns N' Roses have probably done one a million times. But there's that.
What, you get that? Is that artwork not in the original copy anyway? Just in the book somewhere?
It was released with that picture on, and then it got banned, and they replaced it with the cross one.
With the cross and the skulls, yeah. I do think that is the better album cover. You know?
The only thing I'm kind of cheesed off with it is that the digipack it come in, it's like a cardboard thing that opens out, and you can just tell after a couple of times putting it in your fucking shelf or whatever, it's just going to fall to pieces. So that's a bit shit. But the album itself, they've done a good job.
That's the world of digipacks in general.
Yeah, the shit.
No matter how careful you are with them, they age like bread.
Yeah, I know, and that's I tend to just rip things now and put them on the PC in the highest format,
and just leave them on the shelf and hope
hope it never perishes. Yeah. But I can just see it being one of them ones. I picked up, what was it, Soundgarden, Bad Motorfinger. I've picked up a few albums and these are like not costing me anything. If anyone has the chance, it sounds really weird, but I've been going into like second-hand shops and charity shops and just looking in the CD section. For £1 you can pick up some classic albums and fucking build your collection, because I'm on my 3rd shelf now. I'm kind of starting from scratch, and I'm really enjoying the process of rebuilding all the stuff I had when I was a kid. I need to get some Cannibal Corpse though. I have no Cannibal Corpse. I want the Bleeding on CD, and that's probably going to be my next buy, is that. And I'd like to do that in the future as well if we could.
Oh, definitely. We was meant to be doing that with someone. Who was going to come on?
I can't remember.
Someone was going to come on and do the Bleeding with us. Shit, who was that?
Whoever it is, and if you listen and tell us, and we will do it. One thing I want to mention, and then play a song by them. Our new intro was done by a band called Chandrian Kill, and that's my mate Ted, and he's given us some music. I don't know if we'll probably have the same intro that for every show, and the outro's probably going to change because he sent me some more stuff to do, and it's really cool to have our own music on the show rather than fucking us just talking and stuff. So it's really cool. They've got EP coming out in September. The song is called I Collide, that we're going to play for you now, and the EP's coming out September 7th, and it's called Bring Out Your Dead. So you should go and check them out at Chandrian Kill on Twitter. You might notice that the tweets have a certain comedic value that our Twitter does, at Rock Show Online, by the way. That's because I'm doing it. So I'm helping my brother out, and I want to get him on the show because he's actually he's pretty much like me. So I think he likes loads as well. He might be one of the few people, so that might be interesting. But have a listen to this new track, and we want people to send music into us again. We want to start playing music from bands that aren't signed. We might even resurrect the rule, but look at it differently. We'll have to reapply the rule, whereas you send us an MP3, we play it once. Send us a CD, we'll play it for a month. If you send us less than 3 songs on a CD, we will not play it for a month. Maybe something like that. I haven't really thought it through, but I really want to start playing music that for new bands, because it's fucking harder now with the internet to get noticed, and if we can do something to help you get there, then I'm happy to do it. So without further ado, here's I Collide, Chandrian Kill. Check them out. And we're back. So, Judas Priest, Painkiller, came out 1990. If you look at the albums to talk about 1990 in particular, 1990, the year Rust in Peace came out. Rust in Peace, fuck me, what an album. Then we've got Seasons in the Abyss by Slayer. Again, fuck. And then we've got Cowboys from Hell. 1990 was amazing for fucking metal in general. The 90s is often overlooked, and we've said it millions of times on the show. 1990, my God, what a fucking year for rock and metal.
Well, what the 90s... The 90s really went wobbly at the end. The beginning of the 90s was fine. Where most metal died, Pantera kind of kept the torch going, but in another way, Pantera killed it. Because all the other bands that were going couldn't compete with them. It'd be wrong not to mention Vinny from Pantera dying. That was, rest in peace, that was just out the blue, wasn't it, really? It's just one of them. It's the rock and roll lifestyle, I imagine, probably catches up with everyone in the end. Vinnie Paul died of a broken heart, is what I think actually happened. He never got over what happened, you know. And I mean, heart attack in his sleep apparently.
There's worse ways to go.
Yeah, and you know, he never really gave up the drinking, and I don't know what lifestyle he had, but I doubt he jogged every morning, if you know what I mean, and ate granola.
Oh yeah, been there.
Wouldn't want him to either. But yeah, no, it's a crying shame, man. And you know, how many times have we discussed a Pantera reunion of such with Zach or whatever? And I always said don't do it, or even if it happened, let it happen organically. But that's just completely out the window now. That'll never happen. And you know, as much as I said, "Oh, don't do it," of course, within a second I would have been there. So
yep.
But yeah, just crying shame. And even through that, I ended up checking out the Hell Yeah albums again, and
I had a little sneaky listen.
I started listening to Damage Plan again. Yeah, he was just such a good drummer.
Damage Plan song. Fuck You is a great Damage Plan song.
Damage Plan, that first album, well, they only did one album. The problem with Damage Plan was it was a bit like what I was saying about Slayer. When Slayer ends and Kerry King is going to do a new project, he says he's going to carry on. I think after Pantera, I think they discovered a lot of freedom, and that album has 14 songs on it. It's over an hour long, and I think they when you look through the whole album as well, there's so much variation in the songs that I think they was throwing shit at the wall and seeing what would stick. And I think over the second and third album, they would carve out their own sound. I reckon their third album would have been a classic, because Pat. Oh, what's his name? Pat Lundgren? No, that's Dolph Lundgren, isn't it?
I just immediately remembered that film where he plays like this Jesus guy, Johnny Mnemonic, when you said Lundgren.
Awesome film. Yeah, that film is ahead of its time. It's a bit shit looking now, but Patrick Latchman, that's it. Now, he played guitar in Rob Halford's solo band Halford, which is a funny coincidence. But what a singer. He was awesome. And yeah, I mean, Pride was a good song. Save Me, really melodic, cool rock song. I mean, there's good riffs on it. I think the production was a little bit too clean. But no, it's a good album. Not
that's
brilliant.
That's the time. No, when it came out, it was kind of like that anyway. Everything become too over processed at that time, and it's opened out a little bit more. But then it had to be clean, and the cymbals had this sound to them and shit like that.
I think if Damage Plan had carried on, they would have found their feet and carved out their own little thing. And I reckon around the third album, that would have been a classic album.
Yeah, there'd be a festival regular up the bill like by now.
Yeah.
You think who's headlining? Like, you got Judas Priest to a headline and Bloodstock in a few weeks, but you've also got the likes of other bands that have gone up. You've got Gojira, now they're headlining. Damage Plan could have been up there by now.
Oh yeah, they definitely would have. But funny enough, just before then, you had Dynamo releasing a load of live albums of like classic performances of the Dynamo Festival. And so far, it's just come out was Pantera live in 1998, and I think Soulfly when they first formed. It was one of the first like tours they did. But yeah, I picked that up, Pantera live at Dynamo, and fuck man, that band were absolutely amazing. And and listening to it, even then I was thinking, because Vinny's drums are triggered, but so you can hear what he's doing with his feet, like it's like Morse code, you know. And I was thinking, God, this guy was a fucking monster. And then I found out, like a couple of days later, I say I found out, it was all over Facebook that morning. But no, it was really sad, because it's just such a crying shame, you know. God knows what their dad's going through. Yeah,
there's a lot to deal with, but like, our thoughts and prayers, that the lefties like to say a lot, but our thoughts will go with the family.
Don't know about prayers.
Thoughts and prayers for everyone. But yeah, man, horrible shit, and it's kind of left a sad story to the whole Pantera thing, and yeah.
While we're on a downer as well, Brett Hoffman from Malevolent Creation recently, just a few weeks before Vinny actually died of colon cancer.
Yeah, what a fucking horrible way to go as well.
And yeah, I mean, Brett again, he was one of the most distinctive death metal vocalists. I mean, there's so many death metal bands coming out now, and it is a very cut and paste job nowadays. I know there's some great stuff out there, but it is very and that's it.
While, it's definitely a DIY. X and Y equals death metal.
Yeah,
you know.
Brett had a raspy scream rather than as well as a death growl. And one thing that was awesome about him as well was when he held a scream, he could hold it for ages. It was fucking amazing. And yeah, I mean, I've always liked Malevolent anyway, because they kind of had one foot in thrash and one foot in death metal, and they kind of verged more towards death metal as their career went on, but they always kept that thrash intensity as well. And yeah. Everyone's been in them at some point. But yeah,
they are a kind of band that's like a few other bands that they constantly felt like it was a rotation with them, because they've had lots of different members. Look on the wiki, it's like, fuck me, that's a lot of people.
But yeah, I mean, he had a crowdfunder to get the funds to help with his treatment. I don't know if that's still up, and you could maybe help out, because, you know, although he hasn't survived, I'm sure his family have still got debts over their head from it.
Yeah, but, it's America.
Hopefully the last time I went in there, sort of they'd reached about 80% of it, I think. So also Repulsive Echo are going to be putting out a tribute T-shirt, which they've released sketches of the artwork. It's going to be the artwork from the lyrics of one of the songs, and it's going to have Brett Hoffman in the style of the Malevolent Creation logo. And so
that's
far,
cool.
What they've released looks fucking cool. So I'm guessing, you know, maybe a couple of proceeds are going to go to his family. I'm not sure.
But I hope
so. To comrades of metal that have fallen, which we salute.
Indeed.
Brett Hoffman and Vinnie Paul. And yeah, bit of a downer, but the show must go on, and metal carries on.
Metal will go on. So this is the 12th studio album up until this date, and it was Rob Halford's last album until he left the band till 2005. A little bit behind what I was up to at the time. I never really got into Judas Priest at the time. I was on board with the other albums that come out. Rust in Peace, Caesar's the Best, Cowboys from Hell. I was there with that, and Guns N' Roses as well. But I never really got into it, and at the time, I've written in my notes that I was probably young and stupid, because it's the type of music I actually, as I've got older, I've learned to appreciate a lot more. And yeah, for me, when it actually come out, this wasn't on my radar at all, and it should have been.
I wasn't even 10 years old at 1990, so I've listened to it completely in retrospect. I think I got it. I think I first listened to the album at 12, 13 years ago.
Well, but, in 1990, they were getting. Did you read about that civil suit when they were they were taken to court, being responsible for a double suicide pact. After they were listening to Judas Priest, these two kids took shotguns and decided to shoot themselves in the face. And at the time, there was lots of shit like that going on. I always remember that, like lyrics backwards, and this is the sign of the devil, and burning of CDs and albums and all that. And they took Judas Priest to court over fucking songs that allegedly, which I believe didn't lead to these two kids fucking doing what they did, which was blow their own heads off. And for me, that's just bullshit. And the whole fucking thing of the 90s was the do-gooders getting in and going, oh, rock is evil, blah blah, Satan, killing, blah 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 blah. It's just fucking bollocks, in my opinion. But that was flying round at the time as well, and I remember it as well, because it was just like, fuck off. If you interpret them lyrics to say to you, oh, I'm gonna go out and fucking blow my own head off, then you're a fucking idiot, and idiots will do idiotic things, and to blame a band for it is just nonsense. Metal is about expression, and I feel that there's nothing like rock music to help you express yourself, and it's got nothing to do with fucking topping yourself. If you think that's the case, you're a dope.
Like they said in Cult at the time, why would we want to kill our audience?
Exactly. It's just bollocks. It's just total bollocks.
I think Rob Alford said he played one record back where he said it sounded like, can I have a peppermint? He said, well, if people would be listening to this, they'd be going out and buying peppermints at the truckload, wouldn't they? And I should be suing peppermint companies for their increase in sales. They said at that point the judge realised how ridiculous the whole thing was and just threw it out of court.
Do you think what was that? Was it Motley Crue? Which was the one with Join Us on? And that was a thing where you spun the record backwards. It was Join Us.
That was Slayer.
Wasp or
no,
Slayer?
It was Slayer, yeah.
Did you ever try that? I don't think I did, but that was bollocks as well,
was Join Us backwards. It was like, it sounded like Satan. I'd say something, but yeah, apparently it was actually Join Us backwards, and then it says Welcome Back, and then that's when the song starts. That's Hell Awaits.
Yeah, it's just fucking. I just remember that time. It was. Oh, think of the children, and now it's just gone to fucking 1,000%. But so first track, Painkiller, the name of the album, the drum intro, fucking yes, Avi, in your face. There's our album Slap. It's classic. It's classic Priest straight away, though, isn't it?
Well, take into account two different things. They were still recovering from the Turbo album, where they basically went full on Def Leppard. That was a real 80s, and they had the song Turbo Lover, which still goes down a treat when they play live today. So
everyone likes a bit of Turbo.
But Ram It Down was basically their apology album. That was the one where they went, yeah, we're still metal, everyone. Don't get too hasty. Yeah, we're still metal. Da, 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 da. They even had a song called Heavy Metal on it. But then, yeah, this album, they just turned everything up to 11. This is balls to the wall all the way through. And also, it was the first album Scott Travis drummed on. And in true metal tradition, whenever you get a new drummer, you start the album with a drum intro. Iron Maiden did it when Nico McBrain joined them on Peace of Minds, Where Eagles Dare opened with it. And yeah, what better way to introduce yourself as the new drummer in Judas Priest than kick off with this machine gun drumming. And even to this day when they play it live, he just starts it and then pauses.
It's very stompy, isn't it? It's a stompy song where you're just like grabbing your fists and stomping down the street or at the gig. And yeah, it's got some great solos. It's 6 minutes long, but like it doesn't feel like it's 6 minutes long, does it? It just I thought it was like a 3 minute, and then I looked and went, this is 6 minutes.
It is heavy metal wrapped in a box, and it's in 6 minutes. If an alien landed now and said, "What is heavy metal?" This is the song I would play them. It's fucking perfect. The smashing drum intro and then just kicks in. Kerry King himself couldn't have wrote that riff.
Yeah, it's a great kick-off.
Soaring vocals. I mean, I think this is his best vocal performance. He never recovered from recording this album. And it's just fucking excellent all the way through. It's just any second it could fall apart. It's so tight, so concise. The solos are blistering, the drums are just thundering, and Scott Travis's arm must have fallen off while recording it. And yeah, it's just fucking amazing. I love this song.
Yeah, it's a great track, and it's done before you realise, and that's a sign of a great track. And
it's 6 minutes as well.
I know, it didn't feel like it at all. It felt like a 3 minute in there, gone. You know, it's just like 2 squirts into a fucking fit bird's arse. It was fucking great. So Hell Patrol is the next one. The riff's great. The opening riff is fucking great. It's proper. I'm sitting here and I'm doing like I'm trying to pump iron, doing my arms and all that shit. It's one of them. The pace keeps up, and just a note on the production on this album. It's at times it changes throughout the album. It does. There's certain changes in it, but I forgive it. It makes it sound like it was recorded well before it came out, though, because you remember this is the 90s. This could have been recorded in 82, but that doesn't detract from the actual album at all. It kind of makes it endearing in a way, and it normally irritates me, but like it didn't with this. I'm like, indeed, the music kind of fit with the recording. I don't know how that worked out, because normally I'd be like, oh, that fucking sounds terrible, but like it just kind of gives it an endearing Weathers original kind of feeling to it. And yeah, it's a great opening riff, great dual guitars, and it's another strong track 2, and it's still going, and I'm fucking enjoying it so far.
Well, I always thought of Hell Patrol as just a standard album track, and didn't think one way or another. I just playing the album, I just chugged along to it, but I didn't really love this song until I saw them do it live. And I just thought that what an odd song, because you've got Painkiller and all those out songs to choose from, and I think they opened with Nostradamus, they did Metal Gods, did a few standards, and then just out of nowhere they chucked in Hell Patrol, and I was just like, wow, like this is an odd choice, but what a fucking song. It was absolutely amazing, and Rob sang it brilliantly, and it's just so much better live than what it is on the album, and I ended up loving it all the more once seeing it live. And yeah, just the way it's just, again, great riff. Dun, 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 dun. Scott Travis's galloping drums underneath it, and again, Rob's vocals are just perfect on this. And he always gets a reputation for having a high pitch, and yes, of course it's there, it can't be denied, but he doesn't do it as often as people say he does. I mean, this isn't King Diamond we're talking about. He always holds it and uses it when he needs to at the end.
Impact.
Yeah.
Impact, high pitched singing. It's not like a Dio where Dio's always up in the higher octaves. He kind of uses it for effect to drive up the guitars as he's going, and then the guitars are going heavier or faster. It's used for more gravitas, whereas other bands are just constantly like a sheep getting bummed. But I like it. It's a good track. It takes us on to All Guns Blazing. So the first thing I wrote about this is really you only have to hear Rob Halford sing for a second to know who he is. Most people who have ever listened to any form of rock could hear him singing on this song for 1 second and go, that's Rob Halford, isn't it?
Yeah,
he's just got his own style.
They could have opened the album with this as well. This is an opener, and it easily could be a set opener live. You can just imagine, like, the lights go down, some sort of intro track playing, the red lights moving around, and then just out of nowhere, like a spotlight on Rob on like the side of the stage, and just doing the intro, that twisting the strangle grip, not give no mercy, and then just when the song kicks in, lights come on, and that's where the band is.
Yeah,
how fucking cool would that show opener be? This would be the ultimate fucking.
If I had the money, I would be talking my way into Bloodstock to watch these after listening to this a few times. I'm totally digging this so far,
guys. Listening to this now, if you've never seen Judas Priest live, you absolutely have to see Judas Priest. And I've seen all the greats within my lifetime, obviously. I've never saw, fucking Jimi Hendrix, for example. But with my age and who I've been able to see in my, from 15 up to 34 when I started going to gigs, I've pretty much seen everyone. I never saw Pantera because of that cunt Bin Laden. But because September the 11th happened and I had tickets to see Pantera on September the 18th and the show was never rescheduled. But I have saw Finland Soma with Down 3-4 times. But yeah, trust me, I've seen Ozzy, I've seen Bruce, Rob Halford, I've seen Lemmy. Rob Halford is the best vocalist I have ever seen grace a stage, and that's not even including metal. I've seen David Byrne, I've seen Dave Gahan in Depeche Mode, I've seen Nick Cave, but yeah, Rob Halford is just the fucking best singer ever, and he just stalks the stage with just confidence, and he's just competent, you know. And he just paces himself. He doesn't go straight in and he's all over the place. He just strolls onto the stage. He's just cool, you know, and he hits it note perfect. And even when he does Painkiller, they save it at the end and he blows his voice out probably. But the guy's in his 60s and he just fucking has it. He's got that aura of if you don't follow him on Facebook, by the way, Jesus Christ, get involved. You've got to follow him on Twitter or Facebook. He just takes the piss out of himself. He's so brilliant. Yeah, he seems very comfortable in his own skin, and that comes across when you watch them live on the internet. Because I've not seen them live, and I'm hoping after Bloodstock that they actually do some kind of fucking little talk. I'm too old to stand in the field, I'll be completely honest. They'll definitely do it. Yeah, bands of their calibre do that all the time. They'll do a string of festivals and then they'll probably announce it after Bloodstock. I reckon it'll either be the arse end of this year or it'll be next year at some point. But I can see them as well kind of bumping it up to arenas so you'll get a decent package. Like Slayer have done. It's where the money is, isn't it, as well? Because you can offer them access all areas, shite, and charge through the nose, and people will pay it, especially with these bands like Slayer. Well, I saw them, last couple of tours they've done something like Hammersmith Apollo and things like that, but I saw them, the first time I saw them at least, was Wembley Arena, and that was with Megadeth and Testament. Now, that was a fucking show. Oh, yes. Anyway, yeah, all guns blazing. I love it, because Painkiller is all, without no pun intended, all guns blazing. They slow it down just a notch with Hell Patrol and give you a nice mid-paced galloper, and then bang, straight back to 11, all guns blazing. The solos in the middle and the slow section is cool as fuck, isn't it? Here we are again. It's not like it's not Raining Blood, but it is like Raining Blood. As in, Raining Blood was just intense all the way through. This is just this album is a cardio workout. You have a little bit of a downhill for a little bit on a couple of songs, and then they just bang, they turn it up again, the intensity, and tight as hell riffing, melodies. Glenn Tipton and KK Downing are just on form with this. They are nailing just it. Where one finishes, the other one starts, And again, Scott Travis, he owns this album. The guy is known for. He just gave Judas Priest a fucking shot of adrenaline into the temple with this album. The album has kept its pace up so far, and it's so far for me. It's been a great album and a great listen, and right, the next song, okay, Leather Rebel, great opening riffs, and the drums are on point. You can argue that the lyrics are a bit cheesy, but for me, that's part of the attraction. It's part of the attraction. One of the biggest criticisms with the Tim Owens albums was that the lyrics were cheesy. It's just, hello? What? Where have you been? Yeah, since when you don't complain that Judas Priest have cheesy lyrics, because the cheesy lyrics have been there the whole time, all the way through. They are a giant fucking burger of a band, and they love an extra layer of cheese in that burger, and there's nothing wrong with that. And again, one thing we haven't mentioned in this album, fantastic choruses, instantly recognisable choruses. Hooks are great. And Leather Rebel just has that, when it just pauses, Leather Rebel, and then bang, it just kicks in like thunder, the drums. And just then it is that lightning in the dark. It just goes up in that backing vocal. It's fucking delicious. It's just awesome.
Well, this is the thing. He left Judas Priest after this album, and it was kind of at the same time when this music was getting a little bit underappreciated and it wasn't fashionable. So maybe he saw the future. Like, Rob Halford's a time traveller, and he saw that the 90s would become a cesspool of fucking rubbery bass guitars and corn with 9 fucking strings. But great song.
We'll discuss his departure a bit later on, but yeah, there's a few different things going on with that. But yeah, so Leather Rebel. I mean, I just love this album. Everything, the artwork. I love the artwork on this. But yeah, this kind of gives me a. It just reminds me of like some 80s film. It's just like the ultimate soundtrack to.
That's what I'm saying. This album kicks back to the 80s, and it come out in 1990. This could have been done in 82.
Yeah, horror films, great action films, and most of them did have heavy metal soundtracks back then.
Yeah, it was one of them things, wasn't it? It was like it was the on thing to do. I would say that it's another pacey track. It's got great backbone, and it's got from the drums as well. It's coming all from the drums with plenty of double kick, and it's another great track.
A great melodic solo as well.
Yeah, the solos. It got to the stage on this particular track that you're kind of expecting the solos to be good based on what's come before. You're like, it's going to be another good. It's another good solo, and that's not going to detract from the album. It's just fucking great music.
And yeah, it's just one banger after another. And we move on to Metal Meltdown. And I'll tell you one thing I love about Metal Meltdown. It's just that little at the beginning.
the little cheeky. It's a little cheeky solo, isn't it? He got his way and he went, go on. He's pestered the band to get it, and they've gone, all right then, go on, just fucking do it, will you? But yeah, I love it. Little whittle, a little fret wank, and then the riff kicks in. The riff kicks in. The riff.
I will probably say though, this is the weak track on the album. I mean, it doesn't go down very far. I would say this song is a good solid 7, maybe even an 8 out of 10. And if this song was on another lesser band's album, this would probably be the highlight. You know what I mean? But again, actually, a bit like All Guns Blazing, it'd actually work as an album opener. It'd probably go down pretty well as a set opener in a live show as well. But yeah, I mean, the quality doesn't drop very far, but to say this is the weakest song on the album is saying something, because the rest of the songs are so good. But yeah, this is where it's ever so slightly falls down for me. Not that there's anything wrong with it, it just doesn't. You kind of got On Guys Blazing, Leather Rebel, and then this song, and this song does what those last two songs do. Just those two do it better, you know.
So I'm going to come from the opposite to that, because this is my favourite track on the album so far. Yes, Halford is in full flow in this one, man. He fucking goes for it. And you can imagine him on stage, microphone in hand, fist with the fucking glove on, doing the and all that. Again, it sounds like it's from 82.
Yeah, I mean,
it sounds like it's from 82, man.
I'm not saying it's a bad song by any stretch. I'm just saying, in this flow of songs, this is the slightly lower of the album. But yeah, like I say, if this is as bad as it gets, then this is a fucking good album.
Here comes the Metal Meltdown.
I'd love to write a song or record a song as good as the worst song on this album, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it did. The potency of the tracks on this album thus far have been fucking great, and this for me is just I'm a lover of cheese. I love a bit of cheese, and here comes the Metal Meltdown. How much cheese can one man take?
Here comes the chocolate fondue. No, that's cheese fondue. There you go.
Yeah, but I like a bit of fondue.
That's what that was. You think that's molten lava at the bottom of the album cover? It's not. It's just cheese. It's just a big camembert with the lid thing taken off, and those buildings are just bits of bread. That's all.
This sounds like it's from the 80s, and fondue sets in the 80s with a have fucking thing. So yeah, that works. That works. So we're on to Nightcrawler. Little intro on it, and then back to a bit of headbanging. it's got catchy hooks. This one, it's Priest doing what they do. Nightcrawler, a fucking amazing solo. And the middle section for me's got a little oi bit. If an album's got an oi bit, I'm all in. A little oi, oi, and a slow pass as well. And I wouldn't have appreciated it when it came out as much as I do now, because my tastes have changed. I've grew up and I'm no longer an annoying fucking bastard with the long hair and an undercut. And I really appreciated the slow parts as well to build it back up. I appreciate that more in a song, the crafting of the music. I appreciate that now, and this for me is even better than the last one. So this has bumped Metal Meltdown, and this has picked it up for me. I really like it.
I love this song. I mean, it's full of atmosphere. We were talking about 80s movies, but how good would this have been in a soundtrack to, say, Fright Night or Vamp, or even, I don't know about Lost Boys, but yeah, it just a real balls to the wall horror film, you know, with the an unforgiving vampire, not some fucking good looking fucking prick that you get now. But yeah, I just love it, that cool melody at the beginning, and with the dan 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 bam 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 bam. I could just see that again, like the music video, like you just envision a music video in your head, and with that dan dan dan, you can see like lightning strikes. How good would that be, like in a live show? If they just did live show, like lightning strikes going playing with that. And yeah, you see that really fucking atmospheric sort of melodic breakdown in the beginning when he does a spoken word.
It's cheese, but I like it.
It's cheese, but it's fucking great.
Cheese,
nothing wrong with it, you know. And
can you imagine those 90s kids just fucking turning their nose up at it? Though I can, I did. I was one of them.
I'm just doing it here. Look, when he does the end is drawing near, they'll hear the last right's echo of the wind. Like the way he just goes up at the end of that, it's fucking excellent. But yeah, it does that spoken word, and look, huddled in the cellar, fear caught in their eyes, daring not to move or breathe as the creature cries. Fingernails start scratching on the outside wall, clawing at the windows. That's Salem's Lot, that is. You remember the scratching at the windows? Come to me, it calls. Atmosphere's electric as it now descends the stairs. Hiding in the darkness is futile from his glare. Death comes an instant as he hoped it would. Souls ascend to heaven while he feasts on flesh and blood. It's just fucking pure comic book. But it's just fucking brilliant.
It works though, that's the thing. And we've talked about other albums in the past with spoken bits on, and I've always gone, oh fuck that's crap, fucking stop it. But this works, and yeah, I'm very happy with this song. And again, they keep getting better. My favourite track of the album, it's getting harder to pick, because I'm enjoying it, and
every song on this is a banger. Like, yeah, it's fucking brilliant.
If I could only go back in time and slap some fat-headed scouser and say, listen to that shit, because this is good metal. I'm really enjoying it. Between the hammer and the anvil, big slow riff.
Again, yeah, it just gets
better.
Big
slow riff, and then it kicks it off with a Halford shrill. There's only way to put it. It's a shrill, and again the bass and the drums are in sync, and it's got a fucking great backbone to it, and it's definitely a fist pumper of a song. Again, they're all that walking down the street like you're walking like a robot with your fists out and shit. It's one of them albums that just gets you all fucking animated, and there's lots of fret wanking on display, and this is another one. It's kind of pushing out the other tracks for the best track. The audio though definitely changed on this track from the others. I noticed it, and okay, if you look at the overall sound of the album, it changes throughout the album. There's something I keep picking up with it, but I kind of fucking liked it. He slightly changed his vocals on this one as well, because he mixes his vocals a certain way, but this one I noticed there was something that stood out for it, and it's more defined, and it's more in the centre of the actual sound of the song, and I really fucking liked it, and that's why I kind of went, yeah, this is it for me. This is where it's peaking a little bit, I would say. But other than that, I'm finding very little to fucking pull apart from it with this album so far. I'm really, really enjoying it.
I love it. It's a cool fucking chuggy, rather than like sort of balls to the wall, like all gun blazing. You had the nice atmospheric of Nightcrawler, and then it's just the dun 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 dun. It's just a great driving song. And another one that I've seen done live, and it works brilliantly. And yeah, it's the way it just chugs along, but then in the middle just breaks into that dum dum, that doomy riff. But then just the way Scott just goes dun bam dun bam underneath it, and
it's
then you hear
Sabbathy, the intro riff,
yeah, but that sound effect with the hammer landing, going in with the drums like dun dun bam ding ba ba bam bam ding, fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
And again, between the hammer and the anvil, don't get more metal than that.
Exactly.
What a title. But yeah, again, another blistering solo. This album's full of them. I don't know what else to say. This album just goes from one banger to the next. It is just up against the wall all the way through. It's just classic after classic.
Okay, so this takes us on to A Touch of Evil. Bit of scene building at the beginning. This intro sounds like the 80s for me. It's like Airwolf, Street Hawk, and fucking the A-Team all rolled into one.
Yeah, but that lovely keyboard introduction, and then just he just has that groove. He just reads riffs, Scott Travis, and just knows how to support them, how to lift them up. As much as he's all over the kit in this album, he also knows when to let the riffs breathe.
A lot of the songs on this album are anthem-like, though, aren't they? They're all little anthems in their own way, and that's something that you seldom get from nearly every fucking song in an album. You don't get that. You'll have one or two. You'll have your Walk or your fucking Hostiles or whatever, to go back to Pantera. But this has got more than a handful, and it's a very rare fucking thing to have from any musician, to have a whole bag full of songs on one album that are all fucking awesome thus far. It's my least favourite track, though, having said that, but I can see how it works because it's a nice way to break things up.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a evil ballad. It's a love song that's about someone that you shouldn't be with, though, but can't help yourself.
What does this?
To me, this is like Alice Cooper's Poison.
Yeah,
you know,
I see that. What does the solo on it reminds me of another song, and I can't put my finger on it. Answers on a postcard at Rock Show Online. Please help me with this, because I listen to the solo. I'm like, it sounds like something, and I just can't get it. And I imagine this song goes down quite well, but for me, this is the weakest one for me. I'm digging it, and I understand why it's there, but it's the weakest one, I would say, for me, from the album perspective.
Nah, I think this song's fucking fantastic, and again, it's as close as they come to a ballad, really, on this. But again, I just love the groove, the with the drums. I think it's got a fantastic chorus. The way it's backed under his chorus as well, that dun dun, just drives it. Can't resist the touch of evil. And I just love the interlude at the end when he just builds up. He just goes with the higher notes. When what's the lyrics? Arousing me now with the sense of desire, possessing my soul till my body's on fire. Like, he just really sings that with passion, and it really just sort of, it's a really atmospheric song, and he just builds up that atmosphere to a climax, to that when it just pauses, that you're possessing me, and then bang, just kicks into that chorus one final time. And even just like the background vocals, when it builds up to that chorus, he has that like in the background and all that. It's just a brilliant vocal harmony, and the way the vocals are arranged over what would be a simplistic song otherwise, really, in all fairness. But it's the simplicity that makes the genius of it.
Well, do you know what? With this one, it takes me back. I've been on a bit of a retro kick, and anyone who knows me knows that I've been buying like old consoles from yesteryear. I've got I've got like an Xbox there with an emulator with Amiga games, Spectrum, and all sorts. This takes me back to sitting with a ZX Spectrum and playing fucking Jet Set Willy or Manic Miner. It's good. I like it, but it's not the strongest one there. It's my least favourite out of all of them. But again, it's the worst track in my opinion on the album. It's still fucking up there though, and that's
that's what I feel really about Metal Meltdown. I
can't hate it. We're into Battle Hymn, which is basically an intro to the song after it, so there's not much to fucking say about that, really.
Yeah, any other album that would have been on at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why it was there. It just, it's there, and then it takes us to One Shot at Glory. Just to go back to Touch of Evil for a second, if you listen to the mix, the song before Touch of Evil is a different mix to between the Hammer and Anvil, and it goes back to the previous track's mix, and it's noticeable for me because I'm just one of them people. But again, it's not a detraction. Most of the time, if it's really annoying, I'll pull it up and I'll pull it down. But this, no, I'm okay with it. It sounds like it should, and okay, it's not perfect, but I like the dysfunction. It's been weird for me because I'm normally ripping the fucking new arsehole when stuff like this happens with other bands, but for this, it kind of adds to the allure of the album, the different sounds you're getting from each track. So, Touch of Evil, yeah, it changes back, and we go on to One Shot at Glory, and the shift of sound happens again, and this album steps up, and it punches you after the 80s ballad. This song just literally gets up and goes, so you like that bit of a ballad, boom, right in your gut. And it takes us back to the Priest formula. Priest have got a way of making music, and when they do it, they're on point. This song would be fucking awesome live. It's got all the parts fit together. It's like cogs in a clock, and it's all ticking away and working great. The solos are steaming through this one. I've got nothing bad to say about any of the musicians on this at all. The singing's on point, the guitars are on point, the solos are fucking spot on. The oi oi, a bit of oi oi on this track as well. I imagine this live with a bit of oi oi. And this is the original closer on the album. There was a reissue that I listened to with another track. I don't know if you've heard that one, but
yeah, there's a bonus track, but yeah, this is the original closer.
Yeah, and as a closer on the original album, it fucking works well, and I really like this track too, and this is up there with one of my favourites, and it's a fucking great way to finish an album. Why? I've always said finish an album big and ballsy, and come in big and ballsy, and this does it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the intensity is just certainly turned down on this. This is just more of a roller. It's like a good driving song or something like that, and it's got like a really like sort of upbeat, positive chorus, while the rest of the album's been quite dark and intense. But this has just got it's a bit like a breath of fresh air. It's like you've gone through like this big horror, and you've gone through all these dark different worlds and different subject matters, while this one is kind of like the whole album's been nighttime, while this one's sort of like a dawn song. It's like a daylight, sort of light at the end of the tunnel kind of song.
Sense of closure.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's just a good way to close the album. It's kind of like a really intense sort of cardio workout, and this is like the cool down song. It just sort of slowly sets you on the ground. You hit the ground running, and that's how they leave you. You're running on the ground, feeling good. The sun's out, and they just let you down slowly, and then that's how the album finishes. And it's just a great little album closer. I've never heard them do this live. Thinking
they
of
should.
It.
I'd love it. This is a great track.
I'd be there in a surface. I know we've gone back and forth, and you have different sort of opinions on a band doing an album in full. But if they did this album in full, Jesus, I'd be in seventh heaven. I'd be there in a second.
I'd have some of that. Yeah, and like there's the extra on the 2001 re-release, Living Bad Dreams. I don't actually mind it. It is a contrasting song. It does remind me of a Top Gun montage, but like I like it. The odd slow melodic track, and even for like a little add-on they've stuck on the end on it, like the re-release. I actually liked it. It was a good little extra if you got the
they did a couple. 2001. They did a row of they re-released everything a few years back, and that every album came with like an unused song, and Defenders of the Faith had the best one. He had like a ballad. It was all like it was just robbed with keyboards and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a good song. But a lot of the songs that they didn't use were good enough. It was mainly just because of time restrictions, if anything, back then.
But they just recorded. That's the thing, though, with these bands. They kind of record a shitload of tracks for the album, and just like 5 or 6 will end up just gone. And it's only as they re-release them, they pop them out in special editions and, you know, all the other shit, like the Guns N' Roses stuff. There's fucking... Can you imagine how many unreleased tracks we've not heard from fucking loads of bands we're into? It was just... That was the time.
Oh, man, they just released an album of Jimi Hendrix stuff that's just unreleased. I mean, how long have I been sitting on that?
Yeah, I imagine it sounds over-processed, though. It's probably going to be on some fucking shitty-ass fucking tape that's rotted away in someone's fucking shed, and it's probably going to sound like arse, but I'm still going to listen to it. Everyone loves a bit of Jimmy. I think that's not a broad statement to make. I think that's a true statement. There's at least one song by Jimi Hendrix that everyone likes, so if it's done well, I'm in. If not, bollocks. So let's sum it up. Let's see where we go. I really enjoyed this, and I need Dr. Emmett Brown to pop in and take me back to slap myself round the head when this came out and say, why haven't you got this? What are you doing, you stupid twat? The mix kept changing, and that was a little bit of annoyance, but at the same time, it kind of adds to the mystique of it, and I find myself weirded out slightly that the sound being annoying kind of makes me more drawn to it. When it originally came out, I wasn't into it, and I was definitely wrong to overlook it at the time. And I'd say being young is cool, but you're mostly stupid, and I was mostly stupid to overlook this album.
I don't want to be young again. I'm quite happy where I am. Thanks. Yeah.
Oh, no, I like bones not creaking. But
I wouldn't mind being 21, knowing what I know now. But
yeah, take the memories, but the body, please give me back my fucking young body, because it's fucked. But I'll wait for our ratings out of 10 whilst you've said your bit, and we'll come up with that at the end. But I've really fucking enjoyed this. This has been great, and I'm looking forward to seeing them live and seeing some of this shit in person.
It's a perfect album for me. It's heavy metal in its purest form, and in all its glory, and it's the sound of an older band listening to a few, whippersnappers of the time, and just thinking, yeah, we can fucking match them. Obviously they had a young, hungry drummer join them at the time, but yeah, it's just balls to the wall. It's just one smashing song after the next, and it plays like a greatest hits. And it's my favourite Judas Priest album, hands down. And I love Judas Priest. I love the whole catalogue, and I love all the different albums for different reasons, because Judas Priest did change and evolve throughout their career. And I think whatever your personal preference to whatever genre of metal you like, there's still a Judas Priest album for you. And I'm gonna agree with you. 70s Priest is obviously very different to 80s Priest. But yeah, this to me is my favourite, though. This is their Reign in Blood in terms of just intensity, and not that it is Reign in Blood, but that was where they just switched everything up to 11 and just went for it, and that's what I mean by the Reign in Blood comparison. But yeah, this is a 10 out of 10 album for me, even with, I said Metal Meltdown's not quite up there, but even still, it's still a 8 out of 10 song, and even still, that would be the highlight of another album. That's what I'm just saying. The poorest song on this album isn't nothing really to shake your nose at. Battle Hymn is just a little interlude, so yeah, we'll let that slide. So you've got 9 perfect songs, and yeah, fantastic. Every member of the band is just at their peak. KK Downing and Glenn Tipton, that's the sign of a twin guitarist, by the way. So many new bands don't understand that. They just think they've got two. You
need to play off each other.
Yeah, they're a tag team, and where one finishes, the other one starts. They should know. They should be able to finish each other's sentences in a way. They should just be so in tune to each other on stage. They would know if one had fucked up, and they'd know to take over and fix it.
That's the thing. People nowadays, a lot of metal bands are guilty of especially when they've got 2 or even fucking 3 guitarists, then it's more like trying to be a popularity contest.
Yeah,
it's not that.
Yeah, it's not about playing together and playing at the same time or just adding layers. It's being one in all. It's being 2 parts of the same structure, and so many bands don't understand that now. But thinking of it, neither one of them are in the band at the moment. If you go see Priest, you're going to get two fantastic guitarists, Richie Faulkner, and of course the legendary Andy Sneap. I'm sure they've, I've seen him with Richie, and he's great, and it's because of him that you've had the last two Painkiller albums. They were going to hang it up after the first tour they did with him. He was just filling in, but and now I'm sure Andy Sneap stepped into the shoes of Glenn Tipton perfectly. I don't doubt for a second it's not going to be a great show. But yeah, Ian Hill, again, that man is the backbone of Judas Priest. He doesn't get the spotlight very often, but he's been there all the way through. He's played on every single Judas Priest album. And, I remember reading the Judas Priest book, and they said, everyone has good and bad nights, but Ian doesn't. Ian has never fucking had a bad gig. He shows up on time, he plays everything note perfect, and goes home. And you never hear a peep from him. He's just the most reliable band member ever. And Scott Travers is just a monster on this album. He obviously was a young, hungry drummer. He'd stepped into the position and had something to prove, and he fucking proved it on this album. And again, I think Rob Halford, the greatest metal singer ever, this is his peak. He built up all his career to this album, and I just don't think he ever quite beat it. He never, he's done brilliantly since he's rejoined. Angel of Retribution has some great songs. Nostradamus is kind of interesting. It doesn't quite work because it's as we hoped, but it's still interesting parts. But yeah, what's the last album? I mean, obviously you got Turbo, fantastic album that came out this year. What was the one before it? Redeemer of Souls?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
But again, a great album. And again, the guy's in his 60s, and he's just fucking brilliant.
He's
on
owning
the vocals.
He's totally owning it.
And another underrated album is his Halford Resurrection. Fantastic record. And the live album that complemented it. His solo albums are awesome as well. And and he's funny. I mean, I'd love to interview him. I love him.
Yeah, it'd be a really cool interview. So I became quite fond of this in a short space of time. I'll pick the odd Judas Priest track. I've got their albums, but I'll just mix and match. But I really, really enjoyed it. If I could go back in time, I'd probably jump in the police box, the TARDIS, run up to myself, whack myself round the head and say, go fuck yourself, and throw the CD at me. 9 out of 10. Fucking great album.
I'll go for the full 10. Fuck it.
Yeah.
And,
I've enjoyed it, and if you can get out and see them whilst they're still about, it's time that you did. And it's time that I did too, because like you, I've seen nearly everyone I like. And on the back of this album, my interest is peaked, and if I had the money, I'd be standing in a fucking field, even though I hate it.
Oh, forget that. Go watch them at a venue. But yeah, watch them though while they're here. Because look at Vinnie Paul. Even look at Glenn Timpson. With the Alzheimer's.
Time waits for no one.
Is it Alzheimer's he's got? Or?
I'm not sure. But either way, it's time to get your arse out.
Yeah, what I'm saying is no one's getting any younger, and you decrease very quickly, is what I'm saying. You age very slowly, but then very quickly, and it's just one day. It will happen that quick. Within the day, it'll be, I can't do this anymore.
Yep, and it's now strike whilst the iron's hot. Well, that's it. We kind of got to the end of our return show with a new name, a new intro, but the same outro because I fucking love it. But
and
we might change that too.
Two cunts.
Yes, we are the same two useless cunts. You got anything to plug? I've got nothing to plug. I only do this fucking show now. I'm a lazy cunt.
No, just, check out brutalism.com, check out Music Trespass, go on to repulsiveecho.net, Repulsive Echo Records, or Dread Records, or lucistianmusic.com, I think it is. Fuck it, go on Mortal Scold's Facebook page and pick up the reissue of Surface. It's got liner notes by my good self, and I've also conducted an exclusive interview with David Greger, and it's a limited edition. You've got a Digipack CD, or you've got a beautiful orange splatter vinyl or standard black vinyl, 500 a piece, hand numbered. Get them while they're hot.
Look cool. It looks fucking cool. I'll be honest, I was like, woo.
It's a slamming album. It's absolutely fucking fantastic, and big thick riffs that you can fucking, they're like big lamb shank riffs. You can just pick up the bone and fucking munch 'em.
Like a fucking porn star's cock.
Whatever floats your boat.
Yeah. Big and meaty. Like a porn star's cock. Can we have that on the back of a review with stars? Like a porn star's cock. 5 stars. Get involved, people. Get involved. Support fucking metal, because this is something that we're all really passionate about, and the most passionate fans of the world are people like me and Joe, and metal fans, man. Get involved. Get involved. So you can find us at Rock Show Online. We've got a website, but I don't know if we're going to do fucking anything with it. I'm still paying for it, but bollocks. Share the show. Get in touch with us on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/Rock Show Online, and at Rock Show Online on Twitter again. So other than that, I think it's time we went. Check us out soon with a new review, and we'll let you choose. See you later.
Good to be back, fuckers.